Hello there and welcome one more time to Business Got Personal. This podcast is brought to you by VideoAsk, Typeform's latest tool, and I'm Alex Antolino in case you don't know me, and I'm the creative director here at VideoAsk. In this episode, I have someone very special I've been working with for the last 3 months, and I'm excited to have this conversation. I think it's a very important conversation, and it's been happening internally at Typeform. It's been helping improve our brand. And now I'm super pumped to be able to bring this to you and open the conversation to you watching or listening. Today, we're going to talk about diversity and inclusion. And we're going to talk about how this can have a huge impact in your business strategy. How can it improve your business in so many ways, internally and externally. Today's guest was named by Hive Learning as one of 2019's most influential diversity and inclusion leaders globally. She's the author of a white paper and 2 international independent reports. She's pursuing currently a degree in psychotherapy to develop an intersectional approach to diversity and inclusion. And I also wanted to mention this. When she came out, she did that publicly through the university magazine. And just for context, that was some years ago in Bulgaria. And for you to get an idea, today, there's only about 20% of people in Bulgaria that think that being gay is okay. That's why I wanted to have this conversation. I think it's a very important one. And to do that, I invited to the podcast Vessy Tasheva, founder of Vessy.com. Vessy and I have been working to make the VideoAsk brand more inclusive for the last few months. And I think she's going to share a lot of insights today. So I really wish that you stick around for the next 30 minutes. Hi, Vessy. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Alex. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, you and I have been working now for 3-4 sessions already, a few months. And I really enjoyed all our conversations. I learned a lot from this, in literally just 3-4 sessions, my whole perspective kind of changed a little bit. So that's why I wanted to bring you to the show and trying to share some of this knowledge, huge knowledge you have in terms of diversity and inclusion, and share it with our audience. So thanks for spending this time with me today.
I'm curious, what was kind of the biggest revelation? Is that the word?
Yeah, I think, revelation.
I feel like I swapped the letters or something. So what's the biggest one?
I don't think it's been a revelation per se, for me, it's more trying to understand all the different perspectives that people have, and the different approaches people have to life and how they perceive things different. So for me, it's not I wouldn't say there's one. I mean, there's an anecdote when we were talking about hair at the very beginning, and black hair, how different it is, and I didn't know that, for example. And so I wouldn't say there's a specific thing that stuck out, but more all the different, the way you progressively start understanding other ways of approaching life and and dealing with stuff. And actually,
the layers.
Hold on.
The layers and nuances, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So all these different things that because of your biases, you don't really get to think unless, start having these conversations. And that's why I think conversations like these are so important. Okay, so the first question, because I do have one question that I really want to ask you. And because I know personally for me, this is basically being a nice human being. You really want everyone, regardless of who they are, where they come from, to feel good and to feel included and to feel represented, right? So for me as a creative director, this just comes as part of trying to be a nice person, basically. But there's other people that maybe don't really see it this way, and that they have maybe other priorities. So my first question would be, regardless of being a nice human being, or try to do things nice, what is the real impact this has on a business? Why any business should focus on, being inclusive and representing a diverse audience?
Yeah. Well, great question, right? Because I know a lot of your audience is smaller companies, so like solo entrepreneur, just
Yeah.
people with different stages. So they don't necessarily have all of the time in the world and all of the resources in the world to invest in this the way a corporation will do in a very heavy, organized, like have huge strategy, etc. But no, here is the thing: like whoever our customers are, they're not, they're not clones of each other, right? They're different, and there are different things we might not realize. Like we might have, let's say, and you and I talked about this. Like we might have customers who, let's say, have who are like colorblind or who have dyslexia. So let's just pick fonts that are readable, more readable in general, for, let's say, someone who has dyslexia, but you're basically creating more value for everyone. So designing our products and services to be more accessible in the first place for a specific group, it's actually improving the experience for everyone, the readability, the contrast, accessibility, etc. So it's similar with, let's say, I don't know, let's say it's like Pride Month, or let's say it's a specific holiday. We can be intentional. We can be aware of those things. And, when it's, let's say, Christmas time for some, for others, it's not Christmas time. It's just end of the year.
Yeah.
So, we can say like happy greeting, like happy holidays or whatever, whatever we relate to, but it's also inclusive to everyone else. Or we can say, happy holidays, and give actually, happy new year, happy, and just list a few, and people will see that we're recognizing all of those. So, it just takes a bit of the effort of thinking and being intentional. It doesn't necessarily take a budget or too much time. And many of those things we just do them intentionally the first time, and then it's just how we do it. So it's free, and so it comes from a place of kindness, but also respect and care. And when we care about our customers and our employees, but especially our customers, because I know these are smaller businesses, we have a better relationship with our customers, and we need that word of mouth. We need those great reviews and thumbs up or whatever, we need to get them to champion what we do.
I think this is basically being strategic, right? Not just like being nice, for being nice, but actually like it has a strategic component also. Like, because you and I also talked about how when you are doing something to actually try and help everyone that could be interested in your product, regardless of, who they are, or like what are their preferences or things like that. You can actually, or even like if there's like some disabilities or something like, and you address those and you make your products more accessible, you could have a competitive advantage versus your competition. So it's not just like the washing side of like, being a nice brand and things like that.
Yeah.
But also being strategic about your business and serving literally everyone you could serve that has a problem that you're trying to address with your service or products, right?
Yeah, well, a small business is about relationships, right? So, in every relationship, we want to have trust, and we want to have respect. So we need to be thoughtful and intentional. So I'm not saying, make your customers your friends. Like, they don't have to be your friends. You don't have to tell them about, I don't know, like you went through a breakup or whatever is going on in your life. But, you could, of course. But you can be authentic. You can be thoughtful and intentional. And that's where checking yourself, like being self-aware around some decisions that would be impacting them, but also asking them for input. It can be a stronger relationship in that way, because they can see, oh, you're thinking beyond what maybe your competitors are thinking. And then they want to invest in you because they see your why is different. And they'll be like, so think about, okay, Patagonia is a big company, right? But when we talk about Patagonia, it's like, strong emotions, it's like, they care. And that feeling of care, you're not just a brand ambassador. You're like, they are amazing. And that level of loyalty is for a lifetime. It doesn't mean all of my jackets need to be Patagonia, but maybe a good chunk of them are. We don't have to go into the numbers. But then on the other side, you have, let's say, a company like Basecamp, and we were just talking about it before the interview. And their public announcement from today, like they're not like the biggest company in the world. It's still like a relatively smaller organization, but they have been talking about one set of values, and then one day they say, yeah, we don't care about this anymore. Now we only care about, the business. That's it. Your experiences, the experiences of your community and the experiences in society, etc., they're no longer relevant to us. So,
and they just said that in like a public post or something, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen this. Like you told me before the interview, but it was just like that. They announced it, and like we're moving on from this shit, right? Basically.
Yeah, sorry, like topics around sexism, racism, homophobia, and other shit people experience is so stressful for you in your place of privilege. Like, because that's what they said, that it's stressful, unnerving, and counterproductive. Well, imagine for the person actually experiencing that. PTSD is not a matter of choice, but it is. The choosing not to talk about something because it doesn't affect you is the highest form of privilege. So, what kind of business do you want to be? Do you want to be a business that doesn't think much of other people and their experiences, or do you actually respect other people's experiences and you're there to support them? So basically you create more value for them, and it's about the relationship, not just the service that you provide or the product that you provide. And very often as a small business, people come to you because they trust you. Your product doesn't have to be the most, sometimes perfect, have all of the features, or you don't have to know absolutely everything. You can say, I don't know this, but I know someone else who knows that. And that's how you build trust. And because Vessy.com is a one-person company. I do have partners, so I need to be also able to tell my clients, this is something that I don't know. And I'm not an expert on, let's say, disabilities. If you need someone in that area, I'll make an intro. I'll recommend people, or I'll put you in touch with a partner, and that builds trust. But I cannot be like, yeah, just don't care about that. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think you said something about, companies starting with this, addressing these issues and making their business more accessible, more representative of like different people. And I want to ask you, what do you think is because you work with a lot of different businesses and you've talked with a lot of different people. So in your opinion, what is the biggest friction for people to get started addressing those issues? Because before you answer, like, I'm going to open up a little bit here with you. I mean, you know this, but like also with the audience, because we're working to make VideoAsk and Typeform more accessible brands and more inclusive. And for me, I guess one of the biggest issues was like, in the same way as like trying to make your brand more sustainable or more environmentally more nice with the environment. It's this idea that there's so much to do. Like, we're doing it so wrong. And like, I think we're hard on ourselves, and that could be like a barrier of entry in a way into like addressing those topics. Because we know, in a way, we know how fucked up is everything and we feel guilty. And this happened to me. Like before. So what do you think, now that I told you this, and like in your opinion, what's the biggest friction for people to start with addressing these topics?
Many people go through that like guilt, shame, and go, it's not about that. Like, okay, so let's say again, we're in a relationship, friendship or romantic relationship, doesn't matter. And we did something wrong, right? We could feel guilty and just stay there with our guilt and be like, oh, I'm guilty. This is so hard. I'm not even gonna try.
Right.
Or we can be like, yeah, that wasn't great, and own it, and then do something with that. So we can grow. So it's not about a mistake. It's about what we do with the situation when something like that happens. So yeah, let's learn from it and try something different and see if it gets us further. Any kind of relationship grows and develops when we use those tricky moments to actually grow. The strongest, let's say, friendships are the ones where we have been through the thick and thin with those people. Mm-hmm. We have had fights and we got out of them. And then the friendships that didn't survive the mistakes are the ones where there wasn't enough trust. No one was learning enough from that. And so we didn't see ourselves, growing as individuals to get in a friendship, or be that from like romantic relationship or a friendship.
Right. And you can translate that into business, right? In a way, like it's the same.
Exactly. So when we are faced with a challenge in any kind of interpersonal context, we can back off and be like, oh, this is so hard. I feel guilty, and do nothing, or own it. Then we're not dealing with guilt. We're focused on how we want to tackle the situation and do something about it. Try something new. Discuss with the other person, or in this case, maybe with a specific community. It was really interesting when Rihanna had her Fenty lingerie show in the fall. A great, it was an amazing performance.
Like that was last year, 2020?
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. It was maybe November.
Okay.
Amazing production, she had like drag queens.
Let me stop you here for a second. If anyone here watching, or if you've seen this, please let us know in the comments what are your thoughts, and so we can start like a discussion about this. I haven't watched this, but now that you're mentioning this, I'm really curious. Sorry that I interrupted you, but like these are the kind of things that I want, to hear, like all the voices of people watching and get people interacting. So yeah, if you've watched this show that Vessy is talking about, please, what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments.
Awesome. Yeah. So I bet there is probably almost no one on earth who hasn't seen like a Victoria's Secret catwalk, right? And they look very much the same. The style is very specific, specific colors of the clothes, etc. But then if you look at Rihanna's Fenty, the lingerie collection, like just the whole way, it was basically like a performance with like music and colors. She had another one, I think a year before that might have been also about the lingerie. I can't remember on that one. We can include a link. I'm sure we can find something to add in the description. But it was exceptional to see how different people were, and not just in terms of like body positivity or skin color, but like gender identity and expression and whatnot. But what was interesting was that they used I think it was a prayer that was turned into a song that the Muslim community felt was offensive. Okay. And because it's like you don't do entertaining based on something like, you wouldn't do that with the Bible. So why are you doing it with, let's say, the Quran? And it was really interesting to see how Rihanna responded to that, and she owned it. There was no element of guilt. It was like, you know what? Thank you. Thanks for telling me that was wrong. Now I see it was wrong. I'm sorry I didn't see it in the first place. And I apologize to the community, because I had no intention of hurting you, but I did. So it wasn't like, because sometimes we see apologies, they're like, oh, I'm sorry you felt hurt, but so are you saying then it's communicating, oh, you're too sensitive, or it's invalidating? We shouldn't be doing that with our customers or with anyone, as a matter of fact. That's why I keep bringing like any kind of relationship. We should not be doing that. So I would say look up the show, really interesting, but also see how she managed just the relationship with that community. She didn't alienate them or, invalidate them.
Right.
She was like, yeah.
I'll definitely take a look at
You're actually right. Yeah.
I think that's the main, like, managing emotions when dealing with this kind of topics that are like sensitive. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And then like sometimes you like prevent yourself from acting, which is like the easiest thing to do. Because if you don't do anything, no one's gonna get hurt or whatever. And I think that's personally, like in my opinion, that's like a big stopper. This plus the fact that people don't really understand what's the money side of it, like the business impact. And they were like, yeah, I'm nice, but like now I'm busy, right? Which is the worst thing you can do, because then you don't realize I personally think like you're not understanding like the issue, where like it's about money and it's about being nice, about both things. And it's something like you can prioritize. It's like you said, you can focus on different aspects, and like you don't need to fix everything. I think that's the main message I want to share, and like part of my process. It's that you don't need to fix anything that they want, right? And it's the same with sustainability. You can change the world in like 24 hours or like a quarter. You need to start with something and then grow on that and understand the matters better, and then keep building on that and start with something. And yes, you're gonna fuck it up. Sorry, like I fucked it up a couple of times too. Like it's okay, but it's about owning those mistakes and learning from that. And like you said, in relationships, we also fail, and it's about how we move forward to keep building those relationships. I really like how you made that analogy. So we talked a little bit about like why diversity and inclusion matters, and like the business aspect of it. I like to understand how we can, if I wanna, like now I'm sold, okay, and now I wanna start implementing this. What are the areas of focus that you see can be worked on?
Now, when you're the business owner, or in a position where, let's say it's a small company, maybe you're one of the 3 employees, or you are the business owner or one of the founders of that small business. It's up to you. That's why you don't work in a big company, so you can make those decisions, or you can suggest bold ideas, try bold ideas. So nothing is a limit, and you decide how you can do cool stuff, meaningful stuff at the same time, and have meaningful conversations with your customers, right? Because it's all about meaningful conversations as well. So, you can think about, are your services inclusive? Are your services, products? You can think about your marketing. You can think about how you communicate in your, do you say, let's say, do you ask people to fill in if it's like sir or madam, or are there other options that, let's say if someone is non-binary, like, do they have an option for that? Do you actually need to know if they're sir or madam in the first place, right? You probably don't. Even if you have like heavily gendered products, you could be surprised, like, and you actually want people to be buying that. Let's say, because we were talking about lingerie, let's say we're talking about clothes. I know many women who actually buy stuff from the men's section. Why should they be labeled as like men's clothing lines? Often I feel like that color palette, for example, is more appealing to me than something like pink and flowery. It would have been nice if size M for men wasn't so huge, because it's basically like extra L on me. So if there was like extra small for men, maybe that would look okay-ish on me. That would have been nice. Going back, so let's say marketing the product or services, the way we communicate in something like a form on the website or like in emails. What else? I guess one of the most important things is to be consistent. So you don't want people to be like, oh my God, this website is giving me diversity, but then they go to your product and they're like, this is weird. Like I'm lacking this experience on the inside. So we need to have consistency. Don't imagine something super complicated. But for example, I was working for a company where if you were going through the website, you will only see white faces. And it was a Black friend who's a friend of one of the co-founders who said, you know, man, like I went through your website and it looks like some white people are building this and it's for white people. And it was actually a CV builder. So obviously it's for everyone. There is no, like, it's not like your foundation color where, we're just building those colors and, it's not for the whole population of Earth. It's a CV builder. Everyone needs a CV or resume. So, we have to make some changes. And sometimes when we come from a specific group, we don't realize that we're shaping our marketing, our product, the way we communicate around who we are in a way, not that we shouldn't be authentic or it shouldn't reflect us, but it should also be inviting to people who are not necessarily the same as us. How many clones are there of like me or you? So, we can be more appealing to people. I was working with a client.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was working with a client where they were like, we want to be more inclusive. We don't understand why, we don't get, because they're out of London, why it's only white people who come to our workshops. And I was like, let me just walk you through your Instagram page and your website. Any people of color? Do you see any people of color? And they were like, wow, I never saw it that way. And I was like, but that's how a person sees it. Is it a safe space for someone like me? Do I see anything? And people were not even like, okay, let me look for the Black people. People don't go that way, or you don't go like, do they have any gay people on stage or like whatever the product is? But it is something that the customer or the potential customer is doing subconsciously to evaluate, is this for people like me?
I think it's literally like every aspect of your business, like you said, communication, your product, even the way you do support, like all these different things have really like an impact. And another thing that we can talk about is like all the different areas of focus in terms of like topics and things that you can consider to make your brand more inclusive. So we talked about accessibility, gender diversity. So can you give a little bit of a list of like all the different topics that we could consider when we want to make our marketing or product more inclusive and appealing to like a diverse audience?
I mean, sky is the limit, and we have over 15 areas in diversity and inclusion. So, we don't necessarily have to cover everything. See what's also relevant to you in some way, so that you're not just doing it for the sake of it, right? We need to have some connection. We need to find that emotional connection. Because otherwise it will just become like a have to. And, if I go back to the example with Patagonia, or let's say with Rihanna, they're doing it because they care. If they had to emulate that feeling and pretend like they cared, the result wouldn't have been the same. So, maybe, don't try to, it's not about ticking all of the boxes. Think about which are the areas that are relevant or the most relevant to your business strategy. So let's say you're based in the US, or a lot of your customers are in the US. There is a lot of hate crime going on, like people dying. Do you have a stand on what's happening to racial and ethnic minorities in the country? And it isn't just about making like a bold statement. It's about, is there anything you could do? Like maybe you want to donate, maybe you want to advocate, maybe you have employees that you want to just check in with them. How are they coping? Intergenerational trauma and like PTSD that it's experienced when others from the same community are witnessing violence against that same community. That's extremely hard. And that's your customers and that's your employees. So we build trust in a relationship, again, any kind of relationship, when someone is facing a hard situation and we're there for them. So is there something you want to do to support those people? That's how the relationship is advancing. Or will you just forget about that opportunity? Again, no, just like blank statements. Everyone was doing blank statements last year, Black Lives Matter. But what did they do as a result of that? So what can you do that is relevant to your products and services and how you do marketing and your values as a small company, regardless of the specific size, or your individual, it can be a one-person company, your values. Like if you, look at your values, start from there, see what is it there about your vision or mission, why you're doing things, and see what connects to diversity or to inclusion, or the combination of both, and belonging, etc.
Right. And I like how you mention that it has to come from like a place of empathy. I really like that, because as we said before, like you cannot fix everything. You better start with something that you really care about, that you are passionate about, because it's your employees, because it's your customers, and you really are there to serve them and support them. And that doesn't only apply to your product. It applies to every aspect of your business, from the culture you have in your company to the way you communicate, the content you put out there. And I think that's really, I don't know, maybe, you care about gender diversity, or maybe you care about ethnicities, or maybe you care about like mental health. So, just pick one, because I think it's important for people, because it's been very important for me to kind of like, I'm a very visual person and a very like methodic person, organized person. And it really helped me when we actually painted that picture of all the different areas that we could focus on. And I feel like it's the same with sustainability. I've been in like a lot of like different chats and conversations about how to make a brand more sustainable. And there's a little bit of stress of like, oh, everything is so fucked up that I don't even know where to start. People get overwhelmed. And I like how you frame it in terms of like empathy and like, okay, what it makes more sense to start with for your people and from what you're passionate about, right? And sustainability is the same. Like you cannot fix everything. You cannot eliminate your carbon footprint and at the same time like don't create like an impact like on the planet and then consume plastic, and like you need to start with somewhere, and like you cannot go zero waste at the same time, right? So yeah, I really like how you frame this. So if we were to get like, before we wrap it up, like a little bit specific, let's say I want to start, I want to make a small change tomorrow, right? And let's talk about like my content, for example, or my website. How can I make my website a little bit more inclusive, for example? Can you give us like a couple of tips that people watching could like go tomorrow and start implementing?
Yeah, absolutely. You will be most successful with diversity and inclusion if you embed it in your business strategy, if you embed it in your most urgent product, like projects, products, whatever you're launching next. And that's what we did with you, Alex, right? It was a specific project that you had that we worked on to make sure that it was more inclusive. But okay,
actually, maybe I can talk for like 30 seconds about this.
Talk about that,
So for example, we wanted to, for this new year, that was like a couple of months ago, we wanted to create like a new photo library for like all our communications, right? And one of my concerns as a creative director and for working for a product, VideoAsk, that is all about people and it's all about video, was that I didn't want anyone to not feel represented by our brand, right? And I think that's when we started talking about, okay, how can we actually make this photo library really represent anyone with a business that can use VideoAsk to connect with their people, right? And the more you dig in, the more you start realizing all your biases. And that for me was a very interesting profession, but also personal process of like understanding how much bias I am to one, so like some sort of things. And for more effort that I put, like there's also like some preconceived ideas that I have that I never even questioned or realized that they were there, right? So I think that's part of the process. And yeah, so for example, for us, it was more about, making sure that regardless your, the money you have on your bank account, or the color of your skin, or your preferences, or who you are, where you come from, you feel like this brand represents you, that there's a place for you in that brand, and that we see you in a way. And of course we didn't nail it, and we're like far from like perfect, but I think what matters is like that you move towards that direction.
Yeah. I like there were expectations in terms of what people should be wearing or what the environment should be, right, for the photo session. And I was like, do we need all of the environments to be polished, or does anyone need to be wearing like black and gray? That doesn't look great on everyone. Like, let's bring some bright colors. And we talked about why that made sense, and how it was more inclusive for various reasons. Now I want to give very specific tips for people. There is a tool where you can check your color palette if it will work for people who are colorblind. There is a tool that you can use to check your fonts to see actually which ones are more readable, not just to people with dyslexia, but to anyone. It's easier. The way I, L, and 1 look the same in some fonts. You don't want that. That's hard on anyone. It's hard for not just like older people or people with dyslexia. Just make your life easier. It also helps with avoiding mistakes, or like people mistyping stuff, whatever. What else? So let's see, that's colors, fonts. Check overall accessibility. There are usually tools that can help you, the tools that can help you evaluate how secure your website is, what kind of problems there might be around that you might want to look at. There's similar simulators where you can evaluate accessibility. So just do that. So honestly, like a few clicks and you will know how much you need to change.
I know.
And it can be very quick.
I just remember now that in last session, actually, we were using that tool that was not specifically made for copy, but you would add like the copy of your website and it would tell you how much, male versus female written was like, or something like that. And I thought that was really interesting. At the beginning, I thought, okay, this is a little bit like too much, but then you started realize, then I understood. It's like the more like if you, of course, it's not like a norm, but like if you use certain words, you're gonna attract certain kind of people. And if certain kind of words attract a specific people from specific gender, you might not realize if you're from that gender using those words, you might end up attracting people like you, which is basically the problem with like biases and people building brands or creating products that you don't realize. So no one wants to, in general, people are not like, oh, I only want males, I don't care about women. but it's just like we do it unconsciously. Like we don't realize that we have those biases, and then all of a sudden, all our Instagram is all full of white people, right? And so I think that's it was just an anecdote, but I thought it was fun because I didn't get it at the beginning. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it now. Okay, yeah, it's important.
Yeah, so I will give you a quick example. I went to this personal trainer, and he was trying to push me. His personal drive for just like gym and fitness was pain. He likes pain. Now, why he likes pain and how pain is pleasurable for him in the gym, that's his personal journey. But when he was saying, like, do, like 10 push-ups, then do 10 more, or like whatever he was asking, I was like, I'm at the top of my capacity. I can't do this anymore. And he was like, no, like do like 10 more of this. And I would do it at first. And then I was like, I can't. It was for the first time that I was actually someone's customer, and I had to say like 3 or 4 times, no, I'm not doing that. So it jeopardized my sense of safety, because I felt like he was crossing boundaries. Like I'm not a dude, like I'm not a bloke in the gym to be like pushing through pain to build crazy muscles. Like I just want to be fit. So differentiate your audience, right? And then he was like, next time I'll tell you what you should be eating. I'm like, you haven't even asked me what I eat. Why are we going into what I should be eating? So I felt there was no discovery of who I was, what my personal goals are, it wasn't about me. It was like, this is the way to do it, so you should be doing that. So I think for some people coming in, they want to be pushed and they want to be put on a rigid diet, right? That's not inclusive for people who want a moderate diet and who are doing this for long-term reasons, to stay fit, to be healthy, rather than just, be ripped, like muscular and all. So you need, like, listen to your audience and be responsive. And in parenting, because we were talking about relationships, as a parent, you listen to what the child needs. It doesn't mean you need to be pleasing them all the time, but it's about responding to their needs. Even if you cannot meet the need, it's about explaining, you know what, I can't do this because of this and that. So they feel hurt. I didn't feel hurt by that, personal trainer. It's not that they're my parent, but in any kind of relationship, we want to feel comfortable to share what we need, and our customers to feel comfortable to tell us what they need, and to feel heard, even when we cannot provide that service, or we cannot, just magically produce that feature for them. But they know we heard them. And again, that's trust, that's inclusive, and that's a loyal customer base.
I love it. I think that's a great way to actually end this episode. Like, start from a place of empathy and actually try to understand people and try to like learn and educate yourself, and then take action. Like, I think for me, and that's what I like about the sessions we've been doing, it's all about like education first, and then start understanding where are the places of your business that you can actually make a difference. And as we said, it's not everything. You're not going to fix everything, but start with something today, something next week, and take it from there. Vessy, thanks so much for this time that and for all the knowledge you shared today with us. I bet like if you're watching, you might have some questions, and Vessy might be able to respond them. So please leave any questions you have on the comments, or if there's any topic you'd like us to like develop further, please let us know. Let's start the conversation. This is a safe environment. We can, share our thoughts and share our concerns, and hopefully we can help each other overcome those and move forward. Vessy, if anyone wants to reach out to you, want to find you, where should they? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, you can come to Vessy.com. I have like reports on how different companies approach diversity and inclusion, various sizes and industries. So you'll find at least someone who's very close to what you're doing. And then if you want to reach out to me directly, Vessy@Vessy.com. It's easy. So
awesome.
Just say hi. Yeah.
Vessy, thanks so much for being on the show today. Thanks for all your knowledge. And to you, I'll see you in the next episode.